This is the story of Cris Tucker, an actor who burst into the film industry out of nowhere, won over millions of fans around the world, and then suddenly disappeared just as quickly. Happy viewing. Cris Tucker was born on August 31st, 1971 in Atlanta, Georgia. He grew up in a large family of 6 children. With so many personalities vying for attention, Cris had to find a way to stand out in order to have a voice. He quickly learned that the best way to do this was to use his sense of humor. As a teenager, Cris decided to expand his audience, which until that point had only consisted of family and friends. He began by performing at local comedy clubs. After honing his skill as a stand-up comedian, Tucker moved to Los Angeles at the age of 19. His first performance in the city was a failure, but he continued to appear at open mic nights and eventually became a regular on HBO's Def Comedy Jam. His stand-up routines were very popular, with audiences erupting in laughter at his monologues accompanied by hilarious impressions. The young comic soon caught the attention of fellow stand-up comedian Jamie Foxx, who subsequently invited Tucker to join his team. Cris made his television debut with a small role in Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, followed by his first big screen appearance in House Party 3. The film received largely negative reviews, but since Tucker's role was minor, he was spared the brunt of the criticism. In 1995, Tucker gained widespread recognition for his role in the comedy Friday, in which he played one of the leading roles alongside Ice Cube. Despite the rapper being more popular at the time, the film's success was largely attributed to Tucker. The low-budget film was a box office hit, grossing $28 million against a budget of $3 million. Audiences and critics alike loved Tucker's performance. Moviegoers in particular fell in love with his portrayal of the character known as Smokey. Surprisingly, Tucker initially failed his audition for the role of Smokey, but was given a second chance by director F. Gary Gray. Gray began to doubt his decision when the lines he had written for Smokey didn't sound funny coming from Tucker. But instead of replacing the actor, Gray allowed Cris to improvise, and the scenes in which the actor did so made the film's final cut. Tucker's improv skills during the filming process impressed Gray so much that he invited Tucker to work with him again, this time on the set of a new music video for Dr. Dre. Tucker clearly enjoyed the experience and went on to appear in another video for the song California Love by Dr. Dre and Tupac. During filming, he was almost thrown from a speeding car, but was luckily caught by a nearby colleague. 1995 was an eventful year for Tucker, who continued to take on minor roles in movies like Panther and Dead Presidents, which didn't really do much to boost his popularity. But then came Cris's big breakthrough in 1997. He starred in 3 movies that caused Hollywood to seriously consider him as a rising star. The first of those movies was The Fifth Element, directed by Luc Besson. Even though Tucker had only a supporting role in the film, it was just as memorable to audiences as the lead role played by Bruce Willis. Tucker's character, Ruby Rhod, was as funny as he was unusual. In my opinion, Tucker deserves all of the credit for making this character so interesting and hilarious without being weird. His antics, which he was so well known for during his stand-up performances, reached a whole new level in Besson's film, although I'm not sure if people would laugh at such a character today or just deeply respect him. Nevertheless, Tucker's Ruby Rhod character became one of the most distinctive, hilarious, and memorable characters in the history of cinema. However, organizers at the Golden Raspberry Awards didn't think so, and nominated Tucker for the Worst New Star category. The Fifth Element had a budget of $90 million, but only grossed $63 million at the US box office. It saw much more success overseas, however, where audiences were more eager to buy tickets, helping the movie gross a worldwide total of $263 million, while also receiving excellent reviews from both audiences and critics. After The Fifth Element came Brett Ratner's film, Money Talks, in which Cris starred alongside Charlie Sheen. Critics panned the film as evidenced by the extremely low reviews from cinema experts. However, audiences were thrilled with the movie, which in turn saved it from becoming a box office bomb, grossing $50 million against a budget of $25 million. Closing out the string of 1997 projects featuring Tucker was Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown, in which Tucker took a supporting role in the presence of stars like Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Keaton, and Robert De Niro. Jackie Brown remains one of Tarantino's least popular yet most highly rated films to this day. Praise from critics was backed by impressive numbers at the box office, with the film grossing $40 million against a budget of $12 million. After a tremendously successful 1997, the most iconic role of his career awaited him in an even more successful 1998. The movie Rush Hour was initially to be produced by Hollywood Pictures, with the role of a police officer named Carter slated for Martin Lawrence. Unfortunately, Hollywood Pictures lost faith in the film's success along the way and decided to abandon the project. The film script was then offered to New Line Cinema, who were much more optimistic. However, by that time, Lawrence had already gotten involved in the other projects and turned down his role in Rush Hour. Once Brett Ratner was approved as the director, he remembered the positive experience he had working with Tucker in Money Talks, and immediately offered Cris the role. Looking back now, he clearly made the right decision. Rush Hour became an absolute hit of that year, and has since become a classic comedy action movie. With a budget of $34 million, the film grossed $245 million at the box office, and received excellent reviews from both critics and audiences alike, who all confessed their love for the on-screen duo of Cris Tucker and Jackie Chan. The partnership between the two actors became one of the greatest in film history. Their incredible chemistry could be felt by all who watched the film. This chemistry was due in large part to Tucker and Jackie actually becoming friends in real life. However, as Jackie Chan himself has admitted, he couldn't speak English very well at the time and didn't always understand what Tucker was saying. But that didn't stop these two from becoming fast friends. And in fact, it may have even helped them. After the success of Rush Hour, Tucker began receiving a huge number of offers from studios to star in their films, and the actor turned them all down. He even declined to reprise his role for the sequel to Friday, much to Ice Cube's disappointment, who was quite vocal about his frustration on the matter. Tucker also turned down a role in the fourth installment of Lethal Weapon, which eventually went to Chris Rock, and he rejected Oliver Stone's offer to act in the movie Any Given Sunday, a role that later went to Jamie Foxx. Cris was absent from the big screen for 3 years, while continuing to ride the wave of popularity that he had earned with Rush Hour. But just as audiences were really beginning to miss him, the sequel to the popular comedy about two police officers was released. Tucker only agreed to participate in the project after being offered $20 million, nearly tripling the film's budget to a total of $90 million. However, the film's $350 million performance at the box office demonstrated that audiences were still crazy about the on-screen duo of Jackie and Cris, as did the movie's reviews, which, although not as highly praised as the original, were still largely positive. After the success of Rush Hour 2, Tucker once again turned down a slew of roles that were offered to him, as if to mock Ice Cube, declined another sequel to Friday, then rejected an offer to star in the comedy The Black Knight, before also respectfully declining the lead role in a remake of The Pink Panther. In between filming Rush Hour movies, Tucker appeared in a music video for Michael Jackson, of whom he was a huge fan. In addition to Tucker, the music video also featured famous actors Marlon Brando and Michael Madsen. Tucker's friendship with Jackson eventually gave him an unpleasant life experience. Once rumors about Jackson's misdeeds had begun to circulate in the media, and I think we all know what I'm referring to, Tucker would go on to testify in court as a witness when the musician was facing his charges. In the end, couldn't be proved that Tucker knew about Jackson's illegal activities, just as the musician's activities themselves could not be proven. Tucker's love for featuring in music videos was apparently stronger than his love for acting in movies, and so he once again starred in Mariah Carey's music video for the song Shake It Off. After taking a break from show business for a couple of years, Tucker returned to the silver screen, this time for Rush Hour 3. By that time, Tucker hadn't appeared in a movie for a whole 6 years. However, this extended hiatus had no effect on his actor's fees. In fact, he made more money than he had on previous installments of the franchise, a record-breaking $25 million. However, the film itself didn't do as well financially. Despite an increased budget of $140 million, the film only took in $250 million at the box office, which didn't particularly please the producers. And while audiences were willing to forgive the film's flaws because of their love for the main characters, the critics were merciless this time and widely disparaged it. Less than impressive ticket sales combined with lukewarm reactions from the audience, and the subsequent cancellation of Brett Ratner from the film industry seemed to put an end to fans' hopes of another installment of Rush Hour. However, every year, various sources claim that a fourth film is in the works. but with no accompanying details. After Rush Hour 3, Tucker stepped out of the limelight for several years as per tradition. It wasn't until 2012 that audiences finally saw him again in the movie Silver Linings Playbook, in which he played a supporting role. Despite being a minor character in the film, many viewers and critics praised his performance, noting his ability to take on a more dramatic role compared to his previous projects. But Cris Tucker just wouldn't be himself if he didn't also turn down an opportunity to star in a major film. This time, Quentin Tarantino was offering him the role of Django in the film of the same name. The role eventually went to Jamie Foxx, who should consider himself lucky that Tucker is so picky. At least two of Foxx's most acclaimed performances could just as easily have gone to Tucker. In 2015, Tucker went back to his roots in show business and released a stand-up comedy special exclusively on Netflix. In 2016, Tucker also tapped back into his skills as an actor and joined the cast of Ang Lee's latest film with the descriptive title, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. Apparently, not all moviegoers had the patience to read the film's entire title, and it failed at the box office, collecting only $30 million with a budget of $40 million, and receiving only average reviews. In 2019, Tucker co-hosted the NBA awards ceremony alongside Shaquille O'Neal, and in 2021, the actor was finally able to embark on a stand-up comedy tour, which was postponed several times due to the pandemic. There has been recent news online that has given hope to Tucker's fans that they would soon see him again on the big screen. Release of a biopic about Michael Jordan. Ben Affleck rarely sits in the director's chair. More than 10 years have passed since the sensation and main Hollywood award for Argo, and since then, he's only directed a mediocre gangster thriller and has just adapted the story of the contract signing between Nike and Michael Jordan.
Air Jordan. I don't know.
It's a typical motivational sports drama of the us against the world variety. As for the cast, it was Affleck and Damon who convinced a star-studded ensemble to join the project. Cris Tucker, who appeared on the big screen for the first time in 9 years.
Best day of my life.
This team, supported by a great soundtrack and first-class work from the costume and set design departments, scores 100 points. Initially, Warner only planned to show Air on the streaming platform Amazon, but the reaction of the test audience was so positive, they decided to send the films to cinemas all over the world. Looking back on Cris Tucker's career, it's as if he were a hurricane that came out of nowhere and swept through Hollywood, captivating millions of viewers around the world and receiving record-breaking fees for his roles along the way. And then one day, he suddenly disappeared from the film industry, with a filmography of projects that can be counted on one hand. Most of them were at least considered good. Perhaps this is due in at least part to Tucker's selectivity when choosing a role, something the actor himself isn't shy about. He claims that he relies largely on his gut feeling about a script, and if he realizes that for whatever reason he wouldn't be a good fit for the project, then he turns it down without hesitation, regardless of who the offer came from, even Quentin Tarantino himself. This has also helped Cris avoid the same fate as actors who take on roles in low-quality films at the end of their careers to make money. This has created a feeling around Tucker that he has never really had a decline in his career. He simply stopped acting when he wanted to. We'd like to think that Tucker will continue to delight viewers with new characters for years to come, even if it means we have to wait. Perhaps on that note, I'll end the video. This has been the story of Cris Tucker. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, goodbye for now, and we'll see you soon.